blackbrush. A black widow. A sphinx moth sipping nectar. Tons of maidenhair fern. Dropseed grass stems. A hanging garden on the canyon wall. Evening primroses. Muted colors of late afternoon at the canyon's final bend. The cold glow of a January sunrise silhouetting the peaks of the mist-shrouded sea on Lasso Mountains reveals a squirrel's footprints in the shadow at Red Sea Flat, Utah. Such heavy snow cover is rare for this area, which averages only 6 inches a year. But this, with an annual 6 inches of rainfall, is enough to support shrubs, grasses, and scrubby pinyon pines, whose nuts are hoarded by squirrels for winter food. Feel the squirrel footprints? Round and exposed, the weather sandstone at the summit of the loop supports a bare scattering for drought-resistant blackbrush. Red tails of steeple-grass seeds thrust above a miniature landscape of eroded sand turrets near the top of the loop. The grassy seeds are buried in the soil, their tares known as awns, curl in spirals during dry times and then curl in the presence of moisture. This alternating action literally drills the seeds into the ground. Shown here on a damp day, most of the tails are unwound, though some of them left center still hold some of its curl. These are steeple-grass. Framed between the stand of red grasses foreground and the low ridge, a field of steeple-grass weaves in May wind. Luxuriant in the aftermath of an unusually wet winter, the steeple glistens with sunlight reflected from many tiny silver hairs atop each seed-bearing stem. See that? That's our steeple-grass. Its contour is embellished by a dusting of early snow. A double curve of San Juan Canyon, called the Gooseneck, stands as a monument to the time, 30 million years ago, when the ancestral river first meandered across a plain, eventually slushing this spectacular abyss. See that? A living wedge in the sandstone, a pannion pine takes nourishment from the January snowpack. The pannion seed, probably carried here in the wind, settled in a tiny rock fracture and sent out roots in search of water. As the trunk grew, it pried the rock apart at the surface. Below ground, a taproot, which may reach as deep as 15 feet, has enlarged the crevice, thus contributing to the erosive process that breaks up the established rocks strata and delivers their fragments to the rivers as sediment to be washed away. See there? Its base part down by flash ledge, a boulder leans against the canyon wall above the summer through trickle of the Paria River. See there? Rocks and driftwood scored by the churning of sediment of floodwaters lie in Cataract Canyon on the bank of the Colorado. At the height of the spring floods, the river sweeps along everything in its path, boulders, trees, and any shrubs growing in the canyon bottom. As the torrent subsides, heavier rocks settle out first, subsequently trapping lighter flotsam. This pile of debris, deposited above the normal level of the river, will remain another flood breaks it up. Here, with all the piles of wood. The curved contours of a petrified sand dune, looking like the markings of a giant clamshell, indicate layers of sand compressed millions of years ago by overlaying rock. The dune is cemented together by groundwater minerals. Now it's like a giant clam. A sloping cliff and a gravel bank foreground, set off by an outcropping at a bend at the Colorado, attached to the river's power to move on the land. The cliff was formed by the flow at the river's edge, undercutting the rock. The gravel bank was deposited by